My name is Nahashon. I'm a photographer and video creator, even though that's not what I'm currently doing. But yeah, I created this office space so that it can be my go-to place for when I want to be creative, creating videos or writing stuff that I need to, and just a place where I can come and chill. I'm originally from Kenya and I just moved to the UK a few months ago, and one of the projects that I wanted to do was to create this office space. And for this video breakdown, I'm going to divide it into two parts. I'll start with the office itself and the furniture, and then I'm going to move to the tech part. So starting with the office, the room itself is not that huge. It's only, I think, 4 meters by 5 meters wide, and I was able to transform it into this. So I'm going to talk to you step by step of what I did, or rather my thought process when creating the office space. When you start by entering the door, I have these stickers written "Mind the Gap." Now this is simply from my first time visiting London, the London Underground. I just found it so fascinating, and especially when the announcement keeps saying "Mind the Gap." So it's just something that I thought, why not have a sticker for that and then put it on the door. So basically that's simply the inspiration for it. And the first thing that I did was painting the entire office. And so on the wall behind me, that is a jungle green color. I like the color jungle green. I have it in most things. For example, my AirPods and other things. Most of my clothes currently are jungle green, so it's just a color that I tend to like and I've gravitated towards over the last few years. On the other space of the room, I've painted dark gray. So those two colors, I think, complement well the space. And since I have this not really massive but a nice sized window, it lets a good light in, and that also lights up the space well. And I also like that the roof is white, so that also reflects the light well and keeps all the light in and creates this rather, I'd say, moody light. Although I have to say at some point I'm going to change the lights in the room, or rather I'm going to add more lights, especially for video making. Speaking of video making, the camera I'm using, that I'm shooting there on, is the iPhone 15 Pro Max. I'm not using any fancy setups. I've just put it on the normal app, recording video at 4K 30, and that's it. To be honest, I don't have the time to do a lot of editing currently. And the audio I'm recording is on the DJI Osmo Pocket 2, which weirdly enough is also recording a video, but I'm only using it for the microphone, so I'm going to sync up the audio later. And now back to the space. First and foremost, the link to almost everything inside this office is down below in the description. If you're interested in checking them out, you can do so. Some of the links are affiliate links, so that can help me with building this channel and making more videos, but that doesn't translate to any cost to you. Most of the things inside this room, I also bought them either from Amazon and IKEA. I think there's only one thing that I bought from a supermarket elsewhere, and that is the rug. But everything else is on Amazon and IKEA. So if you're interested, check the links in the description below, and you can buy them if you need them. The first thing I brought in the room was this FlexiSpot desk, which can adjust the height, and I like it. It's sturdy and it does the job well. At that point, I think there was an offer, so it was going for around £200, which I think was a good deal, and that's what I got. And for the chair, to be honest, I can't even remember all the names, and since I'm using the phone, I really can't check all my notes to cross-check all the names of the different products, so bear with me. I'll just mention the general words like chair or table or desk, things like that. But yeah, for the chair, I got it again from Amazon. I think it was like £60. I just saw the bestseller chair, and I thought, why not? I'll just go with that. I didn't want to go with something very expensive. And so far, I'd say it's good. Although when you sit on it for quite some time, I think you feel like your butt is being hurt a bit. That's the only downside of it. But I really like this rest for my head. And the chair overall, I'd say it's comfortable, so not a bad deal. And since I can adjust the height of the desk, then it means sometimes I'm also standing, so that's fine. And it eases my pain of sitting on this chair for very long hours. The next thing that I brought in the room was the rug. I got the rug from Dalem. I think it cost £100, and it's very fluffy, very soft. I really like it. It feels so comfortable. So yeah, I'd say that was also a good purchase. basically what I did was I was buying things slowly and then updating things in the room, because the first and most important thing, of course, is the desk, the chair, and then the painting. Then everything else was just coming in slowly. The next thing I added in the room was the veneer slats, which are 2 pieces. I got them from Veneer Hub, which I think is based in London, but they were able to deliver it. I stay in Scotland, so yeah, the delivery only took maybe like 4 days, which was quite efficient. And installing them is quite easy. I think you can actually get away with just using glue to stick them on if you want to do that, but for this case I screw them on the wall with only I think 4 screws. So yeah, they're very light, so actually that's something you should be careful about, because they can tend to be quite delicate in case you are very rough with them. So yeah, be on the lookout about that. Moving on my right, we have this shelf thing which I got from IKEA. It's supposed to be a bathroom, something you put in the bathroom, and then you can put like towels and stuff. But I thought that will fit perfectly in this corner, because I was trying to think, what would I do here? Would I put pictures, or would I put some kind of storage? But I also didn't want something that takes away from, you know, the central part, which I think is the most important part. I think this fits in well, so I put it at an angle, and yeah, that's what holds the router. It holds those few things that I got, like the Rubik's Cube, and then I have the fake plants, because again, I don't think, because of the cold, I don't think like a real plant is going to do very well here. So that's what I've put there. And then I have those 2 figurines of the Maasai warriors, which I got from Kenya. And then the car, so that car model is something which when we were kids we used to play a lot with. We used to make cars from wires and bottle tops, so you know, you will go all out and create like an entire bus, an entire truck and whatnot, and then you will drive them. So you will put like a metal rod in the middle with the steering wheel, and then as kids you will ride that, you know, just walking around. So it used to be like a competition in Kenya. So yeah, I went to a gift shop and then I saw this and I thought actually that would be very nice to complement my office, and that's why I have it there. So it's more of a memory thing, but yeah, it's cool. And yeah, you can actually ride it in case you need to basically, you know, move it around. And that Google Android toy, I think I've had it for close to 10 years now, because I remember I think there was a Google event again in Kenya, in Nairobi. I can't even remember. I think it was Google I/O. So they were doing something and then they had these things, and then I thought, nah, I'll just have one. I've had it for all those years, and whenever I move around, I tend to carry it along with me. Another thing that I did for the room, just to complement the room itself, I changed the sockets from the normal white sockets to some silverish, dark silverish sockets, which I also think complements the room well. It tries to create this simple aesthetic where there's only, I didn't want to go crazy with the colors, so I wanted to maintain, you know, just a few colors that complement each other. Unfortunately, I have this radiator here which is white, so at some point I think I'll also want to change it, but yeah, that is a very expensive thing to do, so I'm not in a rush on doing it right now, but yeah, at some point I'm sure I'll do that. Another item I got from IKEA is the desk. I honestly can't pronounce any of the words in IKEA, so I'm not even going to attempt on doing that. But yeah, the shelf, it's nice. It's small, and I think I was very lucky because it managed to fit exactly where I wanted it to be. And it can also provide like a good background in case when I'm facing straight ahead and I have a camera facing this other side. It creates like an alternative background, which is something I really like. So basically, in my mind I was thinking I'd want this room to have 3 different backgrounds. So this is background number 1, and background number 2 will be facing the IKEA shelf, and background number 3 will be on this other side where there is the map. So if I have a chair here, then it creates another background. So if I'm doing different videos, it means I have different sets within the same room. For the lights, again, I can't pronounce the name, but the lights are also from IKEA. I think they were only like 29 pounds, and at some point I think I'm going to buy a connector for them so that it can be wireless, so that I can be able to easily control it using an app. But I'll do that later. But I like how they create this spotlight which shines on the books, which I think is a nice small feature. I have also some LED lights which I put on the shelf, which, to be honest, I'm not sure if I really like it. I think at some point I'm going to change it to an LED strip that is not I don't know how to describe it, dotted, because this looks dotted, so the light looks a bit scattered. I'd like a light which is just plain. So yeah, at some point I'll do that. The shelf is nice and stable, it has glass, and since this place is not dusty, which is something that I like compared to when staying in Kenya, having these means it will have been gathering a lot of dust. But here in the UK, I think it's perfectly fine. I've only cleaned it maybe once in the last 1 month and it doesn't look dusty or dirty at all. Other smaller things that I have in the office are the headphone holder, which, you know, just a nice way to organize the headphones and keep it away whenever I'm not using it. I also have this monitor desk which raises the monitor, which is also good. It means my neck won't have to strain too much when looking at the monitor. And then finally I have these shelves which I managed to get also from Amazon, which they just help in, you know, it helps in putting things which I might need but I don't use very often. And then I have this desk mat which also is from Amazon. I think it's called the Darwin mat. It's okay. The only thing I'd say is I don't like that it's not straight. It still has a few bends, but I think maybe I need to iron it and then decide whether I want to keep it or maybe change it to something else. Moving on to tech, my computer, my laptop is the M1 Pro MacBook, the base model with 16 GB RAM, and I think it's 8 cores. I've had that for a while. It works fine. I have zero complaints about it, and I'm sure I'll still keep it for quite a long time. Another thing that I bought purely out of hype is the Logitech mouse. I mean, everyone keeps saying the Logitech MX Master 3 whatever S is the best mouse ever, and to be honest, after using it for a few months, I agree. It's very, very, very good. And then for the keyboard, I went with the Keychron K10, which is the full keyboard because I like having the numpad, and that was important, so that's what I got. And since the keyboard is a bit thick, I have this wooden wrist pad, which it just helps to make the ergonomics more friendly. Another thing I always have on the desk is my phone holder, which again, this is not something that I use very often, but I just like having it there in case I need it. Next to the monitor, I have this digital timer, which I think is supposed to be like a kitchen clock timer, which you can use for timing yourself when cooking. But yeah, I think it fits perfectly on this desk, and I glued it on so that I can use it to time myself in case I need to do anything, in case I need to focus maybe for just 1 hour. I'll set up the timer for 1 hour and it counts down. I prefer doing that compared to using my phone, because when you open the phone, then you sometimes end up getting a notification and then things just spiral from there when it's, you know, one message after another, or without you knowing, you back on Twitter and just wasting more time and more time. So yeah, that clock I'd say has been quite a very small thing but to add on the desk, but very, very useful. When it comes to storage, I have the QNAP, which currently has 16 terabytes, but I've put it on RAID 10, so that's only 8 terabytes. The thing about the QNAP though is it's a DAS, a direct attached storage, and not a NAS, so it cannot connect to the network. But to connect it to the network, what I'm going to do later is I'm going to buy a Raspberry Pi. I'm waiting for the Raspberry Pi 5s to be available, and then I'm going to connect that, install Linux in it, and then link it with the QNAP, and then from that I'll be able to use it as a backup so that I can access files from it, add files to it, or remove files from it whenever and from anywhere in the world. So that's something I'm planning on doing later. Some other things I'm going to do in the office, again, this is slowly over time, is cable management. I'm going to try and get like a big extension so that I can arrange the wires more neatly, especially the wire that is running around the radiator. I'd like to sort that out because that can end up being a fire hazard at some point. But yeah, I need to clean that out. Another thing maybe I'll also do is add a rail light here. I'd like to have one rail light, and then so that I can just have a light, which again, like I mentioned earlier, I'd like this room to be like 3 studio spaces in one. So with that light attached, I can adjust it to whichever angle that I need it to. And lastly, what I'm going to add is sound absorbers. I'll buy maybe a bunch of acoustic panels and put them here on the top so that it can just absorb the sound more in this room, because sometimes, even like right now recording this, I can hear some of the echo. On this other side, I have this world map, which I just love the world, even though it has like a million problems. I like looking at this map and just thinking of all the places I'd want to travel in future. And this door leads to the storage area, so there's nothing really interesting in here. It's just vacuum cleaners, bags and shoes that we're not using anytime soon. And yeah, it's a storage, nothing fancy. And that is basically it for the office. My intention was to make this a functional but very minimal office, which also doesn't feel too minimal because everything needs to have a function. And if it doesn't have a function, then it's for decoration, but still it has to be necessary. And yeah, that's it. Tell me, what do you think about the office space?